Hello and welcome to another episode of Daily Market Mastery with me, Christian Rauchenwald. Hi Akashi, great to have you here. As always, before we jump into things, let's get the usual disclaimer out of the way first. Everything that I share in this video / live stream is my personal opinion and in no way financial or professional advice of any kind. You should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions and make your own decisions. And besides that, all the tools that I'm using, so the charting software, the broker, the strategy I'm following is linked in the description down below. And the one thing I always recommend, if you haven't already done so, go and check out the Elliott Wave principle, which you can read online for free if you're using the link below. Now that said, somewhere there's still audio running. Sorry if that caused an echo. So that said, again, hi Akashi, great to have you here. I hope you're having a great week. I think I screwed up our Discord bots today. So I set up Unraid and now was in the process of setting up the Docker containers in Unraid, so for Redbot. And now things are not working, but I'll get to that later, so it's not relevant for the stream. But I have to say I really like Unraid, so it's a really great system in my opinion, to basically really get the most out of one machine with a few extra drives and have an easy way to manage a lot of different services in one place, but having them separated from each other. Anyway, where do we start today? Let's start with our usual suspect. I don't even have Motive Wave open yet. Okay, so it's going to take a second to open. So let's start with our usual suspect, not No, but okay, No is now going down. As I mentioned yesterday to Olga, so if we bounce here from the 0.2936, that would actually be, in quotes, nice, or around the 0.27. So one would have to zoom in and try to label 5 waves here. Shouldn't be too hard. A, B, C. So shouldn't be too hard to level or to find the probably 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're in wave 5 down. Can actually do that real quick. So we get something done here. So assuming that we start down from here and we'd assume that, okay, it's actually here not too easy, 4 hours. So question would be, wave 1, 2, just here, 3, 4 here, and then wave 5. Okay, yeah, then we don't do that. So it's like, it's a little hard to identify without a doubt the wave 1, 2 here. Crocs, we're going to check in a second since the alert just popped up. So here we circle back to our weekly chart. And again, so GameStop was the first one we wanted to look at. GameStop, there we go. And so it seems like we have a little bit upward movement. Let's zoom in a little bit. 4 hours seems reasonable. So we have a little bit of an upward movement here, but and we probably broke out of that line that we can draw down here. So trend line. So roughly like this. Okay, there we already broke up earlier, but back. And there we haven't broken out yet. So actually, technically, that would be the right one. So let's see if we break out here. And technically we would need an ABC pattern down here. No, actually, we need 5 waves down here because we already went lower than this. We covered that yesterday. Yeah, sorry for the confusion. And possible that we already have the 1, 2, 3, 4, and now wave 5, so that we may or may not have bottomed here. The big question in GameStop is really like, what are we currently correcting? So which of the tops that we saw recently? It's not this one because we already went lower than the starting point here. So but for more about GameStop, check out yesterday's episode. We went a little bit more into detail there. Then with that, let's quickly circle back and check how many of our shares are lent out, which is also always giving us a little bit or an interesting piece of information. So just give me a second to open up the reports for yesterday and the day before yesterday. So activity report for yesterday and activity report for the day before yesterday. So here we have yesterday and here we have the day before. So there we go. So the day before yesterday, we had now where's the stock yield enhancement program? There we go. We had Friday future, green wave, cost, and SunPower lent out with varying interest rates. Let's see how that changed. Stock yield enhancement program. There we go. So Friday futures not lent out anymore as of yesterday. and green wave cost and SunPower still lent out. And for let's see, green wave was 59%, so it's almost unchanged, the interest rate, and we had and a few less shares lent out than before. Cost was 49%, so unchanged, and also a few less shares lent out. And SunPower was 20% and is now 43%, which means people borrowing shares on Interactive Broker are actually paying 86% or 87.24% in interest right now, so yearly interest to borrow those shares. And pretty much all of our 200 shares are lent out, so that's going to be interesting. So let's take a look at first at SunPower, since it was the last one we covered. So slight upwards movement and high interest rate for borrowing shares. That may or may not mean that we get a relatively strong up, or that we could potentially get a relatively strong upwards movement, simply based on somebody having to close their short position. Circling or moving further, green wave, there we had actually a little bit bigger decline. Now we approach the $1 mark, so we're still going to hold on. I still think, I mean, if we consider that people are paying 116% interest right now to borrow the shares, I still consider there is also the potential, although there would need to be some positive announcement or some positive news in the future. However, we're going to hold on because the amount is not big that we have invested, and we earn a decent interest rate on our shares being lent out. That should compensate a little, not fully, of course, unless it's lent out for more than a year, for the decline in value that we're suffering here. Now, costs was unchanged. Costs, we still have the sideways movements where the auto labeling suggests we might still get a wave C. I consider it possible that wave C, so A, B, C actually finished here. And so we still have to wait and see. Either way, cost interest rate is now at also 100%. So people pay 100% interest to short. Obviously, if we were to get to see a wave C, then people would be happy and book a decent profit on their short trade. But I consider it almost more likely that we have an 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and that this will then be in some form the corrective pattern, and that from here we'll see the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going up eventually, which will then burn a lot of people and will make extra money based on the interest rate that we get, or the interest we get paid for having our shares lent out. Now, Faraday futures still moving, like sideways, slightly sideways downwards. Gonna have to see with that spike here, if we go again below 0.30, then it probably means we'll get more downward movement. As long as we stay above the 0.30, I think this could indeed be the next one, A, B, C for wave 2, and we'll get to see the next upwards wave eventually, so soonish. So that's cost, SunPower. Then let's check NVIDIA. Still going up. We broke through we broke yesterday through the point that I mentioned. So I think we talked yesterday about the 116.63. Yeah, and considering that, I think this is the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we get a small correction and we go up further. So overall, from here we have our big A, B, C pattern that extended exactly down to, in this case, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have an expansion from 0.2, 2.3, 2.4, which gives us the minimum profit target for wave 5, and that's exactly where we turned around here, making it likely the turnaround point where we finish a zigzag corrective pattern, and from here get further up. Now, if that's already 5 waves up here, we would first get a decline down and then push further. But again, yesterday I mentioned this here is the point at 116.63, where I personally would have been okay to buy call options. Shares is harder because there are other scenarios to consider where we could still go down. But call options basically have a fixed limited risk. So the premium you pay, then either you're right and we go up here somewhere, and they pay off hugely, or you're wrong and you just use the premium. So that's about NVIDIA. SPY, how is SPY behaving? Even better. There again, I assume we have our yesterday we covered that already, that potentially we have our top here. We again turn around the 100% extension. So again, wave A, wave B, and then wave expansion. and wave C reaches the 100% level. And from here, potentially we have the next 1, 2, and now wave 3 in progress. That could turn around here at the 1618 extension, or that third wave could make it all the way to the 2618 extension before we then get the next noticeable bigger correction for wave 4. So again, this would have been the point in quotes here, the moment we gapped here, to actually get call options with a like 2-3 week expiration date. Like all my funds are locked up, so I couldn't play any of this, which is a little bit of a pity. But there will be more patterns in the future to follow. Now, what else do we have? What else do we have? CrowdStrike would be worth checking out. I think, oh, we're still going down. Okay, so we're still not finished yet with the 5th wave. So I guess we'll have to wait here, because eventually we'll get to see an ABC pattern before we get another push down. And that's going to be, so if we get to see the ABC pattern here, then that would be the moment to eventually get put options here as well. Barnes & Noble's educational, unchanged from yesterday. So if you care about that, just check out yesterday's episode. Immersion, still in quotes unchanged, still possible that we get the push in this area here to finish the third wave. So that actually is marked here, but could potentially go till here. Also possible that this still is going to be A, B, and wave C. And in this case, we would expect to go somewhere around the $10 mark, worst case 919, 920, so that we are in the area here for the correction before we then go further up. What else do we have? We covered costs, we covered that. And now let's take, I have the $35 call options that expire tomorrow. And if we were to buy them back now, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna click that notification away. So if we were to buy them back now, we basically miss out on a $40-something profit, and we don't really have an attractive alternative to sell. So because the $30 calls are also only offering like $16, $17 premium right now. So next week is going to be a low premium week where we will only make between $50 and $100 in premium. So less than 1% return for the week in premium, which is part of the game. And so we're just going to hold them and wait. The shares that I'm holding are surprisingly pretty much all in red in varying degrees. Some of them like not noticeable amounts, and others are obviously a little bigger. Although for GameStop, that obviously is not accurate, because technically we bought those shares at 30. On the other hand, however, we also earned around $8,000 in options premium from GameStop since 8 weeks ago or so, 6 weeks ago when I started the account. So middle of May. No, middle of May, then more already, so 10 weeks ago. Time flies. So technically we're still in profit with those shares. And the rest will just be a waiting game. We have I have a lot of gambling positions in quotes in the portfolio, so like smaller positions that are below $500 each and are like kind of hit or miss. So either the companies go bust eventually and it's a small loss, or they actually make it really big and it might be a decent profit. We'll see how that turns out. Now we also had an alert, so I don't even have it on my watch list anymore. but we set up some alerts, so we're gonna check it out. Crocs, the ugly shoes. Price crosses 125. I'm gonna have to zoom out here. Okay, there's the assumption. That's actually not too bad. So if we go on a daily chart, so that was actually not too bad, although the 125 mark is different. So the assumption is the following. If we look here, so it looks like we have a wave 1, 2, and then in here we have the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll double check that real quick. I mean, I can anyway not trade it right now, so because again, all my funds are tied up in other positions. But if this is 1, 2, and this is wave 3, basically, we see here we get the profit targets for wave 5. We go a little bit above the minimum target, and then we turn around from here. Now, a correction very often retraces into the area of wave 4 of the previous wave of 1 degree lower. We're already in that area. And very often we turn around at the 38.2, 50, 61.8 levels. So it's still not said that this is over. But if we take Kennedy channeling technique, let's see if we can apply it here or if that's already too steep. Then this here would be our base channel. Here we have our wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. Okay, no, we have to zoom out to apply that. Sorry. So let's take a 3-day chart because we'd be looking at, oh, from where do we then measure that? So because there we have our 5 waves. So we finished wave 5 here. Oh, we're not correcting that small thing here. So, but we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that's wave 3. So we're correcting this, which means the channel would need to, and that's going to be too steep. So that would be the base channel, unless the base channel starts from here. And we barely went out of the base channel. So, I mean, it's possible that this still is 1, 2, 3. Let's add an extension to see if we turn around at one of the usual suspects. So if we add it here, then that's where we turn around. So could it be that that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's already wave 5? Okay, so pattern not 100% clear, but it's also possible that we're currently correcting this, in which case we would expect, oh, we actually hit that nicely, 119, yeah. So the question is, where do we have a corrective pattern here? Is this already A, B, C, or is this only the first impulse wave down? We get our wave B and we get our wave C down. I think I personally wait a little bit and consider, I think there will be a cheaper entry. It might be possible that it means missing out, but I think that here, if we're correcting that whole pattern, this doesn't look yet like a long enough pattern and not clear enough like a corrective pattern. So like in terms of free wave pattern. So I think this might be basically our wave A. We still get wave B and then we get wave C. And I'd consider entering it between 100 and 110. And once it visually is an ABC pattern. But yeah, that's about Crocs. And yeah, so other than that, yeah, we don't have anything else today on the schedule. So if there are no questions or requests to look at specific things, one thing we can bring up, a couple of weeks ago, we looked at gold. And we can see now this correction here went a little bigger than I expected. So we had the charts here or the channels here to label based on Kennedy channeling technique. So the correction here went a little bit bigger, but overall from the bigger pattern we had or have still not reached our target areas. We see that one of them is up here. We can actually remove a few channels, but yeah, I think on the 2nd of July we covered, or it was 12th, so the episode from the 2nd or the 12th of July was, I think, the episode during which we made that analysis, where we basically said, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we are still getting wave 5, and now in wave 5, that's potentially the first wave, second wave, and now we're in wave 3. So there will or should be, in my opinion, strong movements for wave 3, wave 4, and then wave 5, and then we should potentially end up at a overall profit target at around 2,757 in gold futures. And then from there, we'll get our next correction that will then, take us down again. So interesting times and interesting to watch. So, I mean, obviously, I don't always get it right. I mean, we also caught a couple of mistakes I made during the last couple of weeks, so where I got it wrong. But we also see I get it right often enough. And the question is always just like placing the trade, having the right stop loss, or finding suitable options. Although I don't trade gold futures myself, we just looked at it upon request from one of our viewers. So yeah, as I said, you can circle back to the episode, which was a couple of weeks ago, to check that out if you want. And I think with that, we're going to call it a day, because I still would like to make some progress in finishing up the Unraid server that I now have in our home, to retire a few more of our Raspberry Pis and a few of the other hardware pieces, like, for example, our old Apple time capsule that now can retire, since we now have the time machine set up on Unraid as well. And yeah, so yeah, let's say thanks for tuning in. I hope you all have a great rest of the day and you all have a successful trading week. With that, don't forget again, all the resources, everything I'm using, the links in the description down below, so you can check it out there. With that, I wish you a pleasant rest of the day. Thanks again, Akashi, for stopping by, and see you then all actually next week, because Fridays we usually, or there may be a stream tomorrow. We'll see if I fit it in. So again, don't forget, like, subscribe, enable notifications. So if there's a stream tomorrow, you actually get notified. If there's no stream tomorrow, the next stream should then be on Monday, again, around 5 minutes before market opens. So see you worst case then. And with that, have a great day. Till then, bye-bye.